agent. This is a demo that we put together really to show the different pieces that DBOS can do for you, right? Durable workflows, fan outs, human in the loop approval, queuing, and so on, right? So I'll start by typing in a prompt, and my prompt is like, why is DBOS awesome? Why not, right? Let's see what happens. And so this starts a new agent. And first it goes through the planning phase, and then it goes through, these are the searches. And one of the searches is, what is DBOS and why is it awesome? All right. And so let's visualize this workflow in Conductor, right? So me typing in this prompt created a workflow right here in my connected Conductor app, and this workflow is running. And so the new timeline view that we've added, this used to look like this. This used to just be a call graph of steps. And this visualization is still available, and you can still use it. But with the new timeline view, you can actually see how long each thing took, right? So we're now tracking tracking the duration of each step. You can click on a step and look at its output. You can see when the step started, when it finished, and so on. And so it's easy to visualize the parallelism, right? Like this is our fan out. Like we did a planning step, and then we did these 4 searches in parallel. Then we did get results on them, and then we did an analyze on those results. And the analyze finished, and it said, DBOS, novel operating system architecture, uses a database as its foundational layer. Well, that part's true. And it talks about all the reasons why DBOS is awesome. And there's the summary, right? There's the actual summary. So this is the new sort of timeline view, right? And you can fork workflows right from here and visualize steps and so on. Cool. All right, so you see there's the get results and the analyze. And now this is where it's pending approval, right? So this is a human in the loop workflow, and it has a timeout of like 10 hours or so where we can approve, or we can ask it an additional question that it can then go and research with this context in mind. Makes sense? So I'll just click finish on this, and now after I've clicked finish, this workflow is complete. In real life, you'll probably have some action after the approval. Okay, making sense so far? All right. So this is our new timeline view. And one thing that we've also added this time around is the ability to have something called metadata-only mode, right? So in case you guys haven't encountered Conductor before, the way Conductor works is it lets us visualize our workflows and steps. I'll actually zoom out a bit, but it doesn't store any of our data, right? That's key. So all of these, like this is a big LLM input here and a big LLM output over here. These things are not actually stored in Conductor, right? Those are stored in your Postgres together with all of your other workflow metadata, all your workflows and all your steps. So Conductor just retrieves this data in order to display it. And it retrieves it through your DBOS workers. It never actually connects to your database. It talks to your workers and asks them for the data and then retrieves it. And so one request that we've had from users is in terms of processing PII, in terms of processing sensitive data, maybe they actually don't want Conductor to retrieve this data. Maybe you actually want to keep step outputs hidden and only show workflow metadata. So that's what metadata-only mode does. So now I can go back to my app page. I can go to config. Here I can also control, as you know, I can also control things like app retention, how often it cleans up the database, and so on. But what I'll do now is I'll say metadata only mode enabled. And you need to be an org admin to do this. We actually have a way to confirm this, right? And we actually have RBAC now, so you can have different users with different roles, and only admin can enable metadata only mode. So I've enabled this, and then I'll go back to my workflows, and now the outputs just don't show up. Right? And they never actually get transferred to Conductor. They stay between your workers and your database. So I see a message from Dev. Dev says temporal's version of metadata only equals custom codecs, for example, to encrypt, decrypt in the viewer. And we actually have custom serialization support as well, right? You can set up a custom serializer and deserializer.
Yes, and that would allow you to store data encrypted in Postgres. What this handles is what data transits Conductor. None of your data is ever stored in Conductor, but this determines what data transits Conductor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so this is for like data privacy sensitive applications that worry not only about where the data is stored, but also where the data is processed or transferred. Make sense? Okay. So that's workflow visualization, timeline visualization. Leander, did I miss anything here? Anything else to highlight?
For this view, for the timeline view, we also specifically put emphasis on being able to show and visualize almost an indefinite amount of steps. So if you
Yes.
have a workflow with like 1 million steps, while it might be difficult for you to scroll through, etc., but it should be possible to show them and be able to walk through them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, Ben, good to see you. Ben asked, can you show how workflow versus steps versus queues, fan out, fan in is displayed, right? So right this app could use a queue, but it actually doesn't. So there's a slight fib there. I didn't add a queue to this code. This fan out was done with just start workflow and get result, right? And that's how you see it. So you actually see a parent workflow, and the parent workflow starts child workflows, and the child workflows have their own steps, right? We are working on a new queues page. Yeah, yeah. So there's a new queue specific page that is coming because we've made queues fully database backed, and now that's giving us a lot more visualization power we can use. Okay.
Yeah, right now, currently, when you go to, currently when you look at the queues page, it's basically it's a workflows page with specified filters on queues. But we are working on a dedicated queues page that gives you a proper overview of how your queues look and what's going through them, if they're saturated, etc. Just a like a kind of like a queues dashboard in a sense.
Very cool. Ben, if you called set event within a step, is it nested under the step or is it a sibling? It actually won't let you, right, guys? Set
No,
event is a
you can
special.
safely call set event in a step, and if you do that, it will not be checkpointed because it's part of the step. But you can see the event itself in the new events view of the
Got it.
of Conductor.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So it is kind of a special step, but you can nest it.
Yeah. So if you call set event and write stream, they communicate and set event and write stream and send for that matter. You can call them directly from a workflow, in which case they'll be a step and they're guaranteed to execute exactly once, which is nice. You also might want to call them from a step, especially write stream, because you might want to be streaming the results from a step as it's happening. And you can do that. And if you do that, because it's running as part of a larger step, the messages will be written to the database, but the actual event won't be checkpointed. And then in that case, what happens then is that if the step gets retried due to a failure, then the set event will run again.
Dana asks, our workers live in a private network. Is there a limitation when it comes to observability, or will you still be able to talk to workers? Yeah, so workers establish an outbound WebSocket when they start to our conductor. And I see Max already responded. There's also a self-hosted conductor option that we offer. So that's also a possibility. But very, very often, if you're connected to the internet, all you need is an outbound connection to us, and that's enough to establish this WebSocket connection, right? Otherwise, yeah, we can talk to you about self-hosting as well. Cool. So this is the timeline view. This is one of the things I wanted to show you, and we showed you the metadata-only mode. The other thing we did recently is we unified Conductor and Cloud, because as some code bases evolve, sometimes there's some redundancy that just pops up, and we actually had different code paths there, but now they've been brought up to be the same code path. So the same Conductor code path applies to your cloud application. So I'll go to my cloud app, and I can see, and here I need to go back because I was working on this for a while. Here I see actually thousands of workflows. So this is what I like to call the slicer. And the slicer is something that we built because we are seeing people run not just like 10 workflows a day, but thousands or millions of workflows, sometimes tens of thousands per second, right? And so it's a big list of stuff to scroll through, right? So we've decided to use the power of the database to basically create these summaries up top of workflows group counted by different properties, right? So here's a summary grouped by status, and here's a summary grouped by workflow name, and here's one by queue, and here's one by time, right? And these are actually clickable, right? So I can interrogate the data, and if I click on the error bar here, it subsets the rest of the bars for workflows whose status was error, right? And I can do the same thing on the time axis. I see that once I clicked on the error over here, there's a big spike of errors that happened between June 5th and June 6th, right? So maybe there was an outage, or maybe Anthropic released a model, or maybe they de-released a model or something. And we can zoom in on this time part to see the spike, right? And now that I've zoomed in, these counters all have adjusted for that region that I zoomed into. And then I can continue. I can click on a particular name, and I can click on a particular queue. This little filter up top shows me that I'm selecting all the error workflows with this name on this queue in this time region, right? And now I can, now that I've selected a subset of workflows of interest, I can do a bulk action, like I can fork them, for example. So bulk actions is also something relatively new that we've added, right? So all of this is in the service of helping you guys navigate thousands and millions of workflows as you're running them, okay?